El Ghazi to Man United. I think I'm losing my mind. Please, no. I mean, surely Police Street is better than El Ghazi. We're going to get into that news. What's the reliability of that news? My thoughts on the signing and more. But this could give a very strong suggestion that Eric Ten Hag's talks with Jadon Sancho today that were meant to clear the air maybe didn't clear the air at Manchester United. Sancho's statement is pinned despite it being confirmed in talks with Ten Hag today, and now we're looking at El Ghazi. It's come out from Chris Wheeler saying Manchester United are considering an approach for Anwar El Ghazi as a free agent due to the uncertainty of Anthony and Jadon Sancho's future. So we are looking at El Ghazi. And what is my thoughts on El Ghazi? Please no, he is not good enough for Manchester United. I'm pretty sure Palistri is better. And I get that the transfer window is closed, so we can't exactly bring anyone else in. But if we're that desperate for someone to play on the right wing and to bring someone in, I'd generally rather bring Lingard back and stick him on the right wing than El Ghazi. Because let's be honest, El Ghazi is not good. It was said El Ghazi left PSV by mutual dissent last week. He has offers from Saudi Arabia, but Man United could give him an opportunity to make a Premier League return. I mean, there's a reason he's not wanted at PSV. If he's not wanted by an Eredivisie club, he's not going to be wanted by any Premier League club. Do you know what's worrying about this? And people are already going in on Ten Hag. People are already going in on Ten Hag. But actually, when you think about it, who else can we sign? Him or Lingard? I mean, I'd just give Palistri a chance and not even bother signing him. And people are already going on Ten Hag. Well, let's actually have a think about it. This is the fourth signing that this could be the fourth. If this happens, and we're going to talk about the chances of this happening in a second, and I'm not going to try and overreact until Fabrizio Romano or someone, well, Chris Wheeler is very reliable, but I'm not going to overreact until Fabrizio Romano starts saying it's happening. It could just be a rumour. But what I'm going to say is Reguilon, Johnny Evans, El Ghazi and Weghorst. Under Ten Hag, we signed Reguilon, Johnny Evans, El Ghazi and Weghorst. Well, we haven't signed El Ghazi yet, but you know what I mean. And I see people overreacting. Ten Hag, Eredivisie merchant, Dutch merchant, this, that. I see people going on Ten Hag. But actually, let's be honest, these aren't the best signings. But if we were a proper run club, we wouldn't be making these signings in the first place. Yes, you could say, oh, it's Ten Hag, he likes the Eredivisie players, la-di-da-di-da. Ten Hag wanted Gakpo, he couldn't get Gakpo. Ten Hag wanted João Felix, he couldn't get João Felix. That's why we signed Weghorst, because the board refused to go and get Ten Hag's first two options because they were out of his price range. Ten Hag wanted Kim Min-jae, board wouldn't get it. Ten Hag wanted Toliver, board wouldn't get it. Board said the only centre-back you can get is a free agent, so there we got Johnny Evans. You know, El Ghazi, Ten Hag wanted an attacker in the transfer window. The United Muppeteers that have inside sources confirmed, Eric Ten Hag made it clear he wanted an attacker this transfer window. The board basically refused to bring an attacker, even though Ten Hag was open to selling Sancho. Board refused to bring in an attacker, did the whole let's stretch the Amrabat deal out till deadline day so we don't have to buy anyone after Amrabat. So this might be why we get El Ghazi. And Reguilon is just because of the Luke Shaw injury crisis. But actually, if you think about it, if we were a proper run club with a proper director of football, we'd probably be doing better deals than obviously Weghorst, El Ghazi, etc. But actually, if we were a proper club that backed the manager and was like, okay, we don't really have the funds, but you are a centre-back short, here's Kim Min-jae, we wouldn't have Johnny Evans. If the board had brought Cody Gakpo in like Ten Hag wanted in January, we might not even need El Ghazi and we never would have brought in Weghorst. This is all about the board not wanting to spend. People are having a go going, Ten Hag's always bringing in these bang, average, rubbish players. And yes, Ten Hag is saying this. And yes, if I'm Ten Hag, I'd be playing Bruno Fernandes and Palistri over El Ghazi and Reguilon. But for me, this is not on Ten Hag in the slightest. This is on the incompetence of the board, because we know that Weghorst was the fifth choice, but Weghorst was his only option. Weghorst was his only option because the board wouldn't spend. He didn't want Johnny Evans, he wanted Kim Min-jae. The board didn't spend. Ten Hag had to get on his knees for Amrabat. Amrabat was the biggest bargain in the market. Amrabat was everything we wanted, and we wouldn't have got Amrabat if it wasn't for Amrabat rejecting every club for us. If it wasn't for Amrabat, we probably would have signed some dead beat midfielder on loan that wouldn't start for any other Premier League club if Amrabat didn't reject every club for us, or we would have signed no one. Do you know what I mean? And the Reguilon situation is because Cucurella was cup-tied. So, you know what? I look at this and I go, El Ghazi could be our fourth panic signing. Well, technically third. Johnny Evans was just an extra. But El Ghazi could be our fourth panic signing in 16 months under Ten Hag. that doesn't say anything about Ten Hag. That says something about the lack of preparation around Ten Hag. That says something about the people higher up Manchester United. And I find that particularly concerning. And I just think, Jadon Sancho, swallow your pride. Any issue you have with Ten Hag, just look at Anthony being out. If you have an issue with Ten Hag, you're not going to play and kick a football again until January. If you make up with Ten Hag, Jadon Sancho, you are our starting right winger with Pelistri. Do not let us get Ghazi, Sancho. Please make up with Ten Hag. Now, what I am going to say on Jadon Sancho is it was said by the Cross Daily Star, and the Daily Star and the Mirror are reporting this, and the Daily Star and the Mirror are practically tier 6. But they are saying Jadon Sancho will push to leave Man United in January after crisis talks with Ten Hag failed to reach a resolution. Now, this is coming out from your bottom tier sources. I think they've just seen that Sancho's statement is still pinned to his X profile, Twitter profile, whatever you want to call it, and they're going to go, you know what, these crisis talks didn't go well, lazy journalism. I mean, I think the fact that we're linked to Ghazi is a suggestion that Ten Hag and Sancho haven't made up and the crisis talks haven't gone well. There's a feeling that maybe Ten Hag and Sancho haven't made up. But we don't know for sure the situation between Ten Hag and Sancho. I know that Ten Hag and I know that Sancho hopefully will resolve the situation, but right now it doesn't look like they've resolved the situation, which could be the reason for Ghazi. And I just think Jadon Sancho needs to put his head down, work harder, apologise to Ten Hag, take a leaf out of Wan-Bissaka's book, because Sancho, think about the fans. You could be giving us Ghazi. Now, I'm not going to jump on this report about them not making up just because it's come from the Daily Star, but I think good journalists linking us to Ghazi is probably a little bit particularly worrying, in all honesty. And there are reports that Jadon Sancho is set to leave in January, and Ten Hag's approved that. We know that good sources did say that, you know, it's unlikely that Ten Hag will forgive Sancho. He feels very angry, and we know what Ten Hag did with Ronaldo when he kicked out. So if Sancho is causing problems, he will never play for United again, and we could see Ghazi in a shirt. If Sancho makes up with Ten Hag, I think there's still a way back for him. Some reports say there's no way back for Sancho, even if they do make up. Ten Hag's so annoyed at what he's done and all of that. And obviously Ten Hag did actually approve to sell him to Saudi Arabia if a 50 million bid came in, but we all knew that wasn't going to happen. But Ten Hag and Sancho did have a chat today after the player's social media statement, and as things stand, it doesn't look like they've made up, but that isn't a definitive answer. We don't know for sure. We'll have to wait and see. But please, Sancho, please, we need you on the right wing. Now, as this is my late night transfer news roundup video where I sum up all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news and more, we have to talk about Bruno Fernandes' masterclass performance today. Bruno was magnifico versus Luxembourg. And look, it's Luxembourg. I know, but you can only beat what's in front of you. Bruno was fantastic. So I thought I'd take a moment to talk about Bruno. Now that we've got Højlund coming back, I think Bruno's going to excel. And I definitely, you know, overdid it on this tweet. Bruno Fernandes, unplayable, could see him in the Premier League. Team of the season debates to come. I was going to say Bruno and Kevin De Bruyne are in a league of their own, because I was kind of really just hoping to wind up a few of the absolute massive Bruno haters on Twitter and just really hype up Bruno for this Luxembourg performance, just to wind up a few people on Twitter. I'm waiting for this to be quote tweeted or replied to by Johnny. Not replied to it yet. He normally replies to every Bruno post I make, but I wanted to take a moment to just talk about how fantastic Bruno was tonight, how fantastic he's been for Portugal the last 12 months, and how I think he's really evolved under Ten Hag. Now, I think obviously Bruno, Mason Mount, Casemiro midfield three isn't getting the best out of Bruno Fernandes, not in the slightest. And if Bruno plays on the right, we're not getting the best out of him. But I think, you know, once Amrabat and Maino come in, add that balance. Now we've got Højlund as a striker. I think Bruno will be brilliant. I said Bruno was unplayable tonight. He got 3 assists in 57 minutes. Versus Luxembourg. He obviously got a goal at the end of the game. And I said that now Man United have Højlund this season, I can generally see Bruno in the player of the season debates come end of the season, which I actually generally can. Maybe I'm exaggerating a bit just to wind up some people that don't like Bruno on Twitter, but I generally can. And I said Portugal have many talented players, but Bruno has been their standout player these last 12 months with 17 goals and assists in 11 games, now 18. And since the start of last season, Bruno is ranked in the Premier League, ranked top in the Premier League for expected assists, key passes, big chances created, many other stats as well, like shot creating actions, most chances created in a single game, etc. And due to Man United not having a striker last season, Bruno only recorded 9 assists from an expected assist of 17. Now, no one underperformed that stat. any more than Bruno. But we've got a proper striker in Højlund, and people will say Højlund only got 9 league goals last season. Well, even though Højlund only got 9 league goals last season, that he would still be Chelsea's top scorer had he played for them last 2 seasons. So you can look at it that way as well. But you can actually see with these statistics here that Bruno is in a league of his own. Like Odegaard is right down at the bottom over there near Rodri. Like Bruno is just a level ahead of other midfielders. And I do think that Bruno is becoming probably one of the most overhated midfielders in the world. Like, yes, he can be frustrating. Yes, he's not been great in big games, but Haaland's been crap in every final City have played in. De Bruyne has been crap in every final City have played in. You know, only Bruno gets this. He's not good in big game stuff. But I think Bruno Fernandes is a magnificent player. I think he's one of the most creative gems that we've got. And I think he's so good that we just need a stable structure and a good team around us. He is a Premier League winning level player. He is our captain, and he can be frustrating, but there's no doubt in my mind that he is a quality player. He's in a league of his own when it comes to creativity. And I'm so glad we've got Rasmus Højlund as a striker. And I just really hope that Ten Hag is backed by the Glazers and we build a good squad, because I think people like Bruno, they've only got a couple of years left, which might sound a bit etc., but he's in the final years of his prime and we've got to make the most out of that. Now, that is your late night news roundup. Please do smash the like button, subscribe down below if you're new. Thank you for watching. See you next time, and bye.